everyone, this is Mindy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing some no blending coloring with alcohol markers. This is a great way to color in your images if you're a little intimidated by coloring. Here's a quick look at the supplies that I'm going to be using. I'm using some new products from Pretty Pink Posh. So starting out, I'm going to stamp out the images and I'm going to be using the stamp sets A Little Birdie and Just a Note. I'm placing these on some Hammermill Cardstock and I'm going to stamp them in an alcohol-friendly ink. So this particular ink I'm using is Jet Black ink from Lawn Fawn. I'm going to stamp that down on my cardstock, but because that music note set at the top has some solid lines to it, I am going to ink it up one more time and stamp it down just to make sure I'm getting some really good impressions. Now once I give this just a minute or two to dry, I'm going to start coloring and I'm using my Olo markers, which is an alcohol marker. I have the colors listed there on the screen. You can pause at any time, and I will also try and list them at the top here and on my blog. So I started out by laying down the lightest color for the front portion of the bird where the eye is. Then I came in with my second darkest color and colored in the body. And the third color, which was the BG 2.4, I literally just added a line of color. And I'm going to repeat those same steps. So what I have essentially is 3 different shades of each of the color groups. So I have a pink, green, and blue. I picked out 3 different shades of those. And then I just added a light color to the face, a medium color to the body, and then the darkest color, I'm just outlining one portion of it. So I didn't blend anything. I'm letting that dark color be my shadow area and give it kind of that outline. This technique especially works well with smaller images, especially if you are worried about bleeding outside of your lines. I lined up the coordinating die for each of the items or the images, held them down with Easy C tape, and I'm die cutting them with my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. Now I'm taking the Scallop Frames from Pretty Pink Posh, and this is the smallest out of the set. I believe there's 2 in the set. So I die cut out that smallest one 3 times from white cardstock. Now I'm just cutting a base to go behind that. So this is going to be about a 3x4 piece of white cardstock. I'm going to add liquid glue to the frames and kind of build up that dimension. It's not going to be very high. It's just enough to give a little bit of lift. Then I can add this stacked piece to my base, which is where my images are going to go and also my sentiment. Now, if you ever get those little hairs on the cardstock, a really great technique is taking a sanding block and just going along all around those outer edges. Then I'm going to take those scrap pieces of cardstock that came out when I die cut the frame, and I'm going to layer this behind my panel. That's just going to add a little stability. Now, the reason I did not stamp my sentiment first and then add that frame is because I really wanted to account for that frame and make sure that my sentiment was completely inside of that. So here I have a sticky mat from My Sweet Petunia that I'm placing my frame piece on. I had laid out the images where I wanted them to go. After I lined up my sentiment, I removed the images and then stamped that sentiment down in that same jet black ink. So this is really giving me perfect placement, and the entire sentiment is inside of that frame and not cut off by me gluing the frame on top afterwards. Now I'm taking some thin white foam squares and I'm adding them behind this musical note piece, and I'm going to add that into the center of the card. And I love having a little bit of lift to it without being too much where I know the post office could throw a fit. So that is why I love using thin foam squares or just die cutting another piece of cardstock in that shape. So using the coordinating die to add layers also works. Now here I'm lining up the birds. Some of the bird is going to overlap that frame, which is already lifted up. So I kind of line that up to get an idea of where I want the foam squares to be, and then I can remove the backing and place them on the front panel. Once that is done, I can just take some tape runner and add it to the back, and I'm going to place this on top of a light blue piece of cardstock that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it is a very kind of clean and simple design. I don't have a ton going on this. So what I'm going to do to just kind of spruce it up a little bit is take a white gel pen and I'm going to add some highlights to the birds. This also kind of drums up that cutesy feel that it has going on, which I absolutely love these little birds. Now that is going to finish up my card project for today. I'm going to have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you stopping by. Thanks again and see you soon.